praios in danger.
I spared no expense and effort to put the current hottest poker site, GG Poker, through the paces for you. Hi, this is Praios and I'm a professional gambler. In the last few weeks I have been testing GG Poker extensively. I have been playing in their mid and high stakes games, as well as testing their payout function and being in contact with their support. In this video I will not deal with GG Poker's terms and conditions again, as I already shot a separate video about this. I will link it in the info card. Only so much here. The terms of service of GG are completely insane, and I would advise everyone to be very careful when playing at GG Poker. In addition to the sick terms and conditions, GG also has very high rake. This is especially true for the high stakes. I will only touch this topic marginally today as well, because this was also handled in the other video. Before I will let you know about some more advantages and disadvantages of playing at GG Poker, please make sure to hit the like button. This helps out my channel tremendously and also keeps me motivated to bring you more content in the future. As this is out of the way, let's now jump into the review part 2. I have noticed both positive and negative things when playing at GG Poker. I want to start with the positive features first. I didn't try the no limit hold'em games. I was exclusively playing pot limit Omaha during my test, so the statement refers to PLO but are probably also transferable to comparable stakes on no limit hold'em. The games are very soft, and this is exactly what every poker player's wet dreams are made of. I feel a few years back in time in terms of playing strength of the competition and fish density when playing on this site. Additionally, I have also noticed that they don't only have more fish. The regulars on GG Poker are generally a bit weaker than on other major poker sites. This is especially true on 50 cent $1 and 1-2. On stacks above, the level of the racks also increase significantly. GG is also one of the few remaining sites where you can get good rake back, up to 60%. But keep in mind that the rake on GG is very high and expensive already compared to other sites, so they can give back more, obviously. Also, on the positive side is that in addition to that, they also offer a lot of attractive promotions like big hand jackpots or daily leaderboards. I am not sure if this is a positive or negative point, but playing on GG Poker had a magical attraction for me. Every morning when I woke up, I was looking forward to grind 9 to 12 tables. To be honest, I was excited to start grinding. This addictive potential is created by the fact that GG feels a bit like playing on slot machines. Something is blinking all the time and you have lots of fancy sounds. Even more tension and excitement is artificially created, for example by card squeezing. In addition, they also have a lot of jackpot and other addictive gambling elements. For example, the wheels on the fish buffet or the big hand jackpot. Everything also always comes with catchy sounds and animations. I guess we are already into the bad things, so let's discuss other negative aspects too. I like the GG Poker software in general, though it crashes quite often, and this obviously is very disadvantageous, especially when you play 12 tables like me and you usually don't make it back in time. As soon as you come back, usually all hands are folded and you sit out at all tables. Needless to say that all money invested so far also went to your lucky opponents. I also hate the fact that you can't disable all these slot machine-like functions, which also have a high addictive potential. You can neither disable the card squeezing nor this stupid all-in insurance, which only benefits the house and should never be taken. To be more precise, there is a button that disables card squeezing, but unfortunately it does not work, or it's not working as intended, as it's only disabling card squeezing potentially. Maybe this is intended from GG Poker, I don't know. I was still forced to squeeze the cards even though I had disabled this feature. Unfortunately, In my mind, I think you can only deactivate card squeezing pre-flop. Post-flop you are still forced to put up with this bullshit. There should also be a function to run it once only. Unfortunately, this function does not exist and you are always asked how many turns and rivers to deal. I mean, it's in GG's interest that you can preset this because you can speed up the games and thus generate more rake by only running it once always or running it twice always. I mean, just have a feature to preset this option. In the settings, I would also like to be able to customize the betting buttons differently for PLO and NL. Unfortunately, this is not possible. The auto rebuy is also not working properly, or it's just designed for no limit hold'em. The minimum rebuy you can define is 20 big blinds, although you are allowed to sit with 10 big blinds at pot limit Omaha tables. I reported this problem to the customer support, who were either not interested in fixing it or too incapable of understanding the problem. For the auto rebuy, the same applies as for the customization of betting buttons. It should be possible to set your preferences separately for no limit hold'em and pot limit Omaha, and this is not possible currently. Unfortunately, the GG Poker HUD, which just tells you the VPIP and the win percentages and the number of hands which a player played on a specific table, isn't working properly either. I often saw numbers which make no sense at all. For example, if someone played one hand only, he can only have a VPIP of 100 or 0. Sometimes the HUD was displaying other numbers which are mathematical not possible, like for example 25% or 50%. In addition to the crashes and the other small problems with the software, there's also another major flaw. I have the software configured to not automatically seat me. Nevertheless, if I was on the waiting list before and got a seat now, I will be automatically seated at the table if I down press cancel within a few seconds. Why is this supposed to be problematic, you might ask? I will give you two examples. Let's say I have to go to the toilet, so I sit out at all my tables and go to the loo. In the meantime, a seat can become open. If I was first in the waiting list, the software will now automatically seat me and post my blinds although I am AFK. It happened to me that I ended my session, but I kept the software open. Later I had to discover that I got seated at several tables where I posted blinds without sitting at the computer. There is also another issue. As a professional poker player, you normally play on several sites at the same time. This is problematic if one of the sites is GG Poker because a HUD is prohibited on this poker room. You either have to play without a HUD on other sites like PokerStars or take the risk to use the HUD although it is not allowed on GG. I know of cases where people were banned from GG because they had Hold'em Manager open and the GG client too. And this although they only used the HUD on the other side and not on GG Poker. Moving on to another topic. Verification at GG was quite unproblematic, but it took a very long time. According to GG Poker, it takes up to 24 hours to verify the documents after you send them in. In my case, I asked after about a week because my verification was still not complete. After 1 or 2 more days, I was finally verified. What is also extremely reprehensible is that GG Poker tries to hide its fees, the rake, as much as possible. If you play at the table, the pot always shows the complete amount in the pot, no rake included. Even if you win the entire pot, it is shipped to you with no indication of any rake. You can only find out about the charges if you compare the stack size of yourself with the pot that was shipped to you. The balance you got on the table after you get the money booked often is 5% less than shown on the screen before. It is also really hard to find out their rake structure at all. Do me a favor and try to locate it. It always takes me a while and I find this is done on purpose. Even if you download your hands and import the hand histories in a tracking software, these hands will not include rake, making it very hard for players to determine if these games are plus EV despite the huge rake. Moving on to their customer service, which is extremely bad. In my case, they only answered about half of my messages, so you often have to send a second or even third request in order to get an answer. These answers often consist of 1 or 2 sentences only. In addition to that, they often have nothing to do with the actual issue. This means either the emails are not read properly or the customer service is incompetent, probably both. To GG's rescue of honor, however, it must be said that GG is not alone with this problem. Almost every bookmaker, casino or poker room I have ever played at is characterized by an incompetent support. Moving on to payments, I have nothing to complain about the payout time. I had requested 2 payouts, a smaller one for 2K, which was executed in less than 24 hours, and a larger one for about 20,000, which was processed quickly too. If I remember correctly, it took about 48 hours. Finally, the question arises whether you should take the risk of playing on GG Poker or if you should stay away. Unfortunately, I cannot give a final answer to this. Everyone must decide for himself whether the risk or the chances outweigh. On the one hand, GG Poker probably has the softest games online at the moment, which also includes soft high-end sky stakes games. I also enjoyed playing on their client very much despite the crashes. However, one must not lose sight of the fact that these cost a lot of money. On the other hand, GG's terms of service are some of the most unfair and restrictive I've ever seen. The rake is also much higher than elsewhere, especially on the higher stakes and especially in Pot Limit Omaha. It could prove to be very difficult to beat these high rake in the long run despite the soft games. I would say if you are prone to gambling addiction, you should avoid GG Poker at all costs because of its slot machine like feel, animations and sounds. Even I, who is not very receptive to such things, almost fell into the trap. If you can keep a clear head, you might want to give GG Poker a try. Before you start, you should definitely have read their terms and conditions or at least watched my video about it to not run the risk that your money will be confiscated due to their many insane and unfair rules and restrictions. I personally have withdrawn my money and haven't played there for about 1 week, but I made this decision for reasons that do not apply to most of you. I don't live in Germany, but I still spent some time there for personal reasons. And since GG Poker is not longer playable in a reasonable manner from Germany due to the latest regulations, I had to give up on this site. Without the possibility to play from Germany, I would not be able to reach the higher rakeback tiers, which would make playing there much less profitable or even unprofitable. But I have to admit that I miss the sick grind. All in all, it was still worth it because only through my test I could present you this video, and in addition I made $3,000 in profits in the 2 weeks test phase. What are your experiences with GG? Please comment below. This was it for today. I hope this was helpful. If that's the case, please like the video. Also consider subscribing to not miss any of my future videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.